Hi, everyone. Thank you to Kay and Andrea. I got the book and I looked at the back because I didn't really know who else was in this. And I just cried in my car a little bit to be in the company of such astonishing trans poets and folks that I know and folks that I get to now discover. It's amazing. Um, so, and thank you, Rochelle, for always having the cutest, amazing Peach Mag events for all of us. Okay, so I'm going to start with the poem that's in the book, um, Midmorning Triptych. Soft baby, soft sheets, the warmth left behind in the shape of a love left for another bathroom trip, to come back only with cold feet. You didn't call, you didn't write. No, but I missed you and I brought you something. Put cold feet against soft baby's warm stomach and the yelp. I brought you that sound. I brought you coming back to bed. We have to get used to a new coffee color. We're switching to oat milk. We're trying to admit a lactose intolerance born to brown skin. And by we, I mean I. And I mean I have to get used to a coffee darker than the color of my own skin, sweetened with something not yet made on a plantation. Is this a decolonization of my body? Taking out milk because by God I'm keeping cheese and sweetening with honey now, and the bees are disappearing. I'm drinking my coffee out of a mug I bought when my birth name was my first name and started with M, and before the name I uncovered for myself started with A. And now both names are my middle names, and my new name starts with M again. Being trans is hilarious. Cis people make all the wrong jokes. Our wheat bread says, no added nonsense. And the second loaf in the freezer says, coldly, no added nonsense. And then the next one. This is a gay poem too. Your brother and you and I went to the Toledo Zoo the morning after we had sex with the air conditioner on high to drown out the fireworks because the cracks and the shots were too loud for me to be still and your mom hadn't fallen asleep yet. We went to the zoo, and several hours earlier, you came back from brushing your teeth, and I was laying in bed and writing a poem about you, and you watched me, and you noticed I had a hickey in the hollow of my throat, and you asked me if I wanted to go to the zoo and see the penguins. The three of us went to the zoo, and you were scared of the birds, and you wanted to go inside their house anyways, and you wouldn't hold my hand, and the hollow of my throat felt sore. And later that night, I told Mama it was a bruise from my seatbelt from stopping in rush hour traffic too quickly. Daydream, where my uncle is a magician. My uncle sits down at a cafe table by the window with a black laptop. He's surrounded by piles of strips of white paper and one spool of brass wire. Paper white calla lilies with brass tethers float in the windowsill. My uncle takes a hot drink, pours it over ice. He has headphones and places them in his ears. He picks up a strip of white paper and twirls it between his fingers. My uncle is dark-skinned like his mother and light-skinned like his sister. I am light-skinned like his sister. My uncle is thin. My uncle is a brass wire tether holding a strip of white paper. My uncle's hands are erratic. My uncle's hands are controlled. My uncle drops the strip of white paper to the ground and it rises back up. My uncle strokes away coffee grounds and crumbs. My uncle twirls and twirls until the strip of paper whispers, it's ready. My uncle twists the strip of white paper into a stem. My uncle dives his hand, thin and dark and light, into his bag. My uncle pulls out more paper, curves and cups his hand over it. Ovals fall out and onto the pile of strips. My uncle, with gnarled knuckles, kneads them into petals. My uncle pulls needle and thread from his left ear. The thread is calla lily white. My uncle strings kneaded petals into rings. My uncle floats the rings over his bony wrists to his elbow, and they float back down. My uncle tightens the rings into blooms. My uncle's bones shine through his skin like lightning bugs. My uncle takes the end of the brass wire. My hands are brass wires, tethered. A brass wire spools from my belly button. My eyelashes are brass wires. So are the hairs poking out from on and under my chin. My uncle tugs sharply. A brass wire boy sitting in my seat cries out. My uncle looks up to see. Observation. I'm starting to look like my dead cousin Mikey. Because I'm on T now, and we have the same glasses and the same chubby cheeks that get rounder when we smile. Data. There's a 10-year-old picture of me and his sister at Thanksgiving, and she's a prediction of a potential me, a future of lost baby fat in a turquoise shirt, matching a turquoise silk flower clipped in my long hair. Data. There's a 25-year-old picture of her and Mikey sitting on a striped couch. She looks like someone took careful scissors and removed me from my own childhood album and pasted me next to Mikey. Mikey's round edges and widow's peak are ours. This picture is my aunt's most loved photo of 2017. Question, testosterone. Is it normal to imagine your face has changed more than it has? Question, disassociation. Is it normal to forget what your own face looks like and replace it with a 25-year-old picture of your cousin? Question, memory. Is it normal to forget how a boy who died nearly 15 years ago moved? And if he laughed, and did he tease me and his sister drawing big-eyed, pretty soldier anime girls? And did he jump on his parents' waterbed with us and dare it to break? And did he tug on my and his sister's twin braids? And did he know he was going to die and how? Thesis, ancestral. A trans boy realizes they look like a male relative and feels relief. Like, yes, they do belong to a familial lineage. No, they haven't betrayed the gift of a firstborn baby girl and a long line of birthed names. Counterpoint. I was never related to Mikey or his sister. Their Black father is my white father's adopted brother. Their Black father looks like my Black mother's uncle. Their white mother looks like my white father. Their white mother believes in God, and maybe so do I, and I do believe in ghosts. Thesis, self-centered. A trans boy is also a dead boy they don't remember knowing. And this will be my last poem of tonight. Thank you to everyone. This is the poem I'm also the most nervous about reading because I'm from the Midwest. And so talking about like bodies isn't allowed. Um, you're not supposed to have a body when you grow up in rural Ohio. Um, so yeah, this poem also just came out on Tuesday in Catapult. So it's truly in the world now, so I kind of have to get over it. Mirror stage. I look at baby girl in the full frame mirror on the back of our closet door, and we look back at me, and baby girl says, you know, it's hard to see your clit when you're fat. She isn't mean. Fat isn't a mean word. She's right. About the fat and about the practical difficulties of bending down to see our clitoris. We remember how hard it has always been to see our body. In a different poem, Jay knows he can't be the only one who stood up on a toilet seat so the mirror could see where belly fat touches upper thighs. He's right. Me and baby girl's bathroom growing up didn't have a mirror big enough or in front of the toilet enough so we stood on the edge of the iron claw foot tub to see what the small cabinet mirror could show us. In one version of this memory, we hold onto the shower curtain for balance and our little girl feet slip. We tear the shower curtain down and bash our head against the cold tub and sob. In another version, we step up, arch our foot around the curved tub rim, and shy away from the cold. In that version, we abandon the bathroom and sneak into Mama's room. We carefully move folded sweaters and camisoles from the old trunk at the end of Mama's catty corner bed frame and stand our feet on steel rivets or whatever it is that pressed shapes into the souls of us. Mama's dresser-topped mirror is wide and short. We can see how our belly folds over onto our thighs and how pulling skirts up past our belly button hides this. Hiding is the key. Layering camisoles and shirts under shirts hides us from ourselves, too. Mama's mirror is too short for us to see our face. We are cut off. The mirror shows breasts, belly, thighs. Before I could see baby girl in the mirror looking back at me, we were in the business of covering ourselves up. Baby girl brings up her clit and calls it ours because we can feel it changing. It's easier to think about it as baby girl's clit. It's easier, but it doesn't hold up. I rub testosterone gel into my upper arms every day, and baby girl's clit starts to feel different. See, the logic doesn't work if we're disconnected. Baby girl brings up her clit and looking at it because it's always been sensitive, but now it's extra sensitive. Like we've had to rethink how I have sex sensitive. If I made a list for the steps of me thinking about me, myself, and I having sex, it would read 1. Remember the image of breasts, belly, thighs framed in Mama's mirror. 2. Forget about that and imagine yourself skinny from your neck down to your knees. 3. Reframe that thought because remember, fat isn't a bad word. 4. Imagine your body becomes a flesh-toned blur, starting at your collarbone down to your knees. Add in nipples floating somewhere in there, and silky wetness somewhere under nipples but above your knees. 5. Now, think about your clit and how it feels when you touch it and how it used to feel before you started tea. Check all the boxes quickly so by the time my beloved takes off my shirt, I'm ready with my body tucked into little boxes so I can feel myself. Baby girl reminds me that we haven't looked at our clit since I started testosterone, or for several years for that matter. You have a tiny mirror on your bookshelf. So I take the mirror and go into the bathroom and sit on the gray bath mat and spread my legs wide. Balance the mirror and my phone with flashlight on to look between the fat folds of my labia. I spread my labia apart and look at my clit, which looks like a clit. Thank you.